And you're live.
Good evening, everyone. This is Marty L. Ward, Captain Marty L. Ward, and I'm so pleased to have you with me here this evening because I have great news. And I want to share with you how you and I together are going to be able to create confident kids and actually to eliminate bullying. And so tonight I want to be able to share with you tips and techniques that are going to help you to be able to feel confident and secure about who you are as a parent, as a teacher, as a grandparent, and to be able to have you be able to share that with your children that you're involved with in your life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my PowerPoint and be able to have you see some slides that are going to help you to be able to follow along and to be able to see how it's so possible for us to be able to have an experience with our children that will help them to feel great about who they are. And you know, who this workshop are for teachers and parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, community leaders who are willing to be willing to be able to see from a fresh perspective how we can possibly do what seems impossible, which is to eliminate bullying and to have and support our kids to feel great about themselves, no matter who says what to them. And who the webinar or the workshop is not for is for people who feel that it's all the bully's fault and that they want to blame the bully, and to see that think that punishment is the way to do it. And I totally understand how that can feel, you know, to feel that we just wish it would go away and we wish that that was the answer. But so far, it hasn't been able to bring us the results that we've wanted. So why this webinar is, what you're going to learn in the webinar is two big mistakes that are made when talking with the child about the bully. One is the approach where we ignore it, and the other is where we end up focusing on the wrong things. So I want to cover that with you tonight. And I also want you to have one simple thing that's going to increase your kids' ability to cope with mean kids. And that's going to be to tag kids for success. And I'm going to tell you all about how that is going to be possible. And why this workshop is different is, well, we are going to be approaching bullying from a 180-degree difference from where we've been approaching it so far. We're going to be focusing on what we want, creating confident kids, rather than on what we don't want, more bullying. It's different because you're going to learn that the key to eliminating bullying is not in trying to control the bully, but about having children knowing that they are okay exactly as they are. You know, often people will ask me, you know, well, Marty, why you? Why is this so important to you? And I wanted to share with you that my whole world stopped when I read that Ashlyn Connor of Ridgefield, Illinois, a little 10-year-old girl, hung herself rather than going to school that morning. And I said, enough. Not another bright light needs to go out. And so as a retired 100-ton boat captain, I decided that I would welcome children aboard the relationship, the most important relationship that they will ever captain, which is the one with themselves, with their family, with their school, and with their community. And I've been able to help them to navigate the rough waters of bullying and bring them safely into port. And when I was growing up, I grew up in a household that was loving and caring and supportive in its own unique way. But I had siblings that were 10, 8, and 5 years older than me, and I was the surprise. And what's interesting is that I've really been bullied my whole life, in the sense that they are a unit, and then there is me. So all my life I felt left out, not included, my opinion not valued. And that is one of the greatest ways in which the bully is able to have an effect, is by having people feeling left out, not included, not valued. I mean, you've heard it, how come Susie played with me yesterday, but she's not playing with me today, and I don't know why she's doing that. And the message to the child is that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with us, that we didn't make it. We didn't make the grade. We weren't good enough to be a part of that. And so when we have that message, and we allow ourselves to believe that, that can affect us throughout our life. I had another thing happen. You see the book up there, The Trail to Misty Mountain. And I wrote that book when I was 10 years old. It's interesting when you ask children, what they want to do. Often by 10, they have an idea. And I was going to be a writer. And I wrote my book. And of course, back then it was on paper, and you had to rewrite it and drawing. And I got it all finished. And I put it in my desk drawer, and I went off to summer camp, and it was an away camp. And when I came home, my mother was so proud, because she was she'd moved me from my room to my sister's room. And as we went by my room, I said, "Mom, where's my desk?" And she said, I gave it to Goodwill. And then by the time we got to my sister's room, I said, "Mom, where's my book?" And she said, "What book?" She didn't mean to. She didn't know it was a book. She thought it was just papers. She had no idea. But to me, it meant that I wasn't valuable. My creative expression didn't matter. And as life went on, that had an ultimate impact. And between having my siblings feeling, I felt like I was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but I didn't get to play in reindeer games. I had this bright light that shone. As you see me with my bicycle, I was able to do a flying angel, as we called it. And I was able to let go of the handlebars, put my feet out, and be no hands, no feet on my bicycle. And down that road that you can see there is where I used to play in the woods, which is where I felt safe. That was the place where I was able to be me, safe to be me. My home was a safe home. I was fortunate. I had a safe home. I really do have parents and siblings that love me. But in my understanding was that it just feels that I'm not valued. And so that has affected me. And what happened is that, as you can see here in the picture, that I was a 100-ton captain's license. I ran a sailing school in the Hudson River. I've been successful in my life. I was a teacher, a school-based social worker, a very successful yacht broker in Annapolis, Maryland, where I was the second highest broker. And in the organization, even though I'd only been there a year and others had been there 32 years, and helped communities to create events. And so all sorts of different things in my life. So at one point I was very successful, but then I went to Miami, where I was still a yacht broker, but I was a total abject failure there. And something snapped, and I couldn't find my way back. I couldn't get back that success. Something happened. And so what happened is I chased the shiny thing and bought one business after another. And why I bring this up is that is what it is left over from feeling left out, not included, not valuable, is I was trying to fill that emptiness. I was trying to say, see, I am important. See, I can do it. See, I am valuable. And I was being driven by my subconscious to just keep doing it until I went from being worth over $1 million to having $7 in my bank account. 3 weeks before Christmas. Now, my kids are adults, but Christmas is Christmas. And it wasn't until I realized how out of integrity I was with myself by not being who I am, not expressing who I am, that I finally closed 4 of my 5 businesses and remained a coach, which is who I am. And what I did is I started writing my first book that day. And I went downstairs after closing 4 businesses and I started writing. And 12 hours later, I looked up and I said, oh, it's midnight. I had written for 12 straight hours. And that was the unlocking of my creative potential. And why this is crucial is that what I realized is this is what affects so many people, is when we have been squooshed in one way or another, and the bright light of who we are, like little Ashlyn Connor, who allowed her light to go out because she believed the bully. When we do that and we keep turning off our light, we end up being stuck, broke, struggling, frustrated. And the clients that I've worked with, when they unlock their creative potential, have been able to turn their business around and make 300, 500% more money in 6 weeks. And so I said, wow, imagine if I can do this for children. Oh my Lord, imagine if all their life children would know how valuable they are and they wouldn't have to get stuck and struggling. They wouldn't have to believe the bully. And that's where I founded Create Confident Kids to eliminate bullying. And what I want to do now is I want to give you a glimpse at what bullying can look like, because so often parents may feel that, not my kid, that it might be happening to others, but my kid goes to a Christian school, or my kid goes to a charter school, or we live in an okay neighborhood, so I'm sure this isn't happening. And I really want you to get an idea of what could be happening so that you can really know what to look for, and for us to go through and talk about different ways of approaching the situation so that you can feel confident and secure that your approach is going to be supportive of your child. So this video that we're going to see a bit of is really 7th grade girl who is being viciously beaten by another 7th grade girl. And why? Because she was angry because the little girl looks more like Elsa from Frozen than she does. So jealousy is a very powerful feeling that kids have. In the kids that I'm working with right now, jealousy has come up, and we've talked about that. And so when you watch, really consider that your child could find themselves in a situation, not exactly like this, but something like this. And then once you think about what can be done, and we'll look at who's responsible, and think about the bully, the bullied, and the bystander. And is there a solution for this? So if Jessica, if you would show the video, please. So now, okay, because now I can see the video. Okay, so it's almost over, right? Yeah, it's counting. Okay, all right, bye. Thank you. Okay, so
Hey Marty, we lost your screen share.
up again.
Yep.
Okay, well, let me see what I can do about that. Thanks for letting me know. Let me come back and go to screen share and click and start screen share. And let's see, can you see that now?
Something's happening when you're going into screen share in PowerPoint. We can see your PowerPoint, but when you start your PowerPoint slideshow, we lose the screen share.
Huh, how interesting.
Maybe just keep it in PowerPoint. Don't start the slideshow.
All right. Okay. And just leave it like this, or, okay.
Oh, we can't see your screen. Do the screen share again, please.
Okay. I'll come back. Go here, start screen share.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, fabulous. All right. So that was a pretty powerful video, wasn't it? Really amazing on many different levels. We have the bully, and we have the bullied, and then we have the bystander. And so I imagine some feelings came up for each one of you about when you were watching that. And really consider how amazing it is that the bystander videoed it instead of stopping it. And this is where what can happen is that when we don't reach children soon enough, they can become numb. And when they become numb, then they have no empathy. So it's really crucial that we catch children early and work with children early so that they can maintain their empathy and compassion for others. Because some people might say, well, you know, the bullied child should have stood up for herself. But if you notice that she did at the beginning do her best to stand up for herself, and it really isn't about that standing up for yourself. I've talked to other people who are bullied, and they said, you know how many 100 times people said, well, you should just stand up for yourself. It's really that we haven't found the answer yet, the solution. And I want to share with you tonight what I believe is a strong possible solution for this. It is about standing up for yourselves, but it's also even more important that we don't believe the bully. And so obviously the child who was bullying obviously needs some help, because the bully is the most hurting person in the room. And so it's important for us to remember that the bully, the bullied, and the bystander all are just kids. All of them want to be loved, appreciated, accepted, cared for, nurtured, and supported. And just like it was about being jealous, and when we're jealous, it's because we don't believe that we can have what the other person has. And so it's talking to that child who was doing the bullying and find out where she feels not good enough, not valuable. Obviously, we would, if we were there, we would of course go to the child who's being bullied first and work with her and console her and support her. And then the bully, and then the bystander. But let's take a look at what could happen, because that little girl could have gone home and really not have said anything to her parents. She might be afraid that the parent might do something and that she would be humiliated all over again. So there's a couple of things that we do. Often what parents will do is ignore it or overreact. So let's look at ignoring it. So let's say that she might have come home, and when we don't know what to say or do, we don't have an answer. Like I said, we either punish it, and then punishing doesn't work. There was someone who told me about their child who was in kindergarten, and they were being called a name by a child, and the teacher merely put the child into timeout, and the child who was being bullied said, well, that's great, except when he gets out of timeout, he calls me the name all over again. So it's really, when we don't know what else to do, that's our only solution, or to pretend it didn't happen at all. So when we ignore it, we can miss the warning sign. So that child might have come home and gone to her room and covered herself up and hidden under the covers. And the mother might not have really noticed, or the father might not have noticed. That's why I say we need to stop, look, and listen. The other thing you can look for is maybe she went down for dinner, but she really didn't have a stomach to really be able to want to even eat. And so you want to look for signs of where a child suddenly is not eating, where it doesn't make sense to you, that all of a sudden they say, no, I don't really feel like eating. That can be a sign. And then the child might, on the next day, really not feel too great about going to school, and she might pretend that she is sick. And so you want to look for children that are getting sick more often than you expect them to. And so it's stop, look, and listen to your children, to double check, to check in and see what is going on, rather than ignoring it. Because you see, when we put our head in the sand, we fool ourselves. You know, we might be saying things like, so that we don't have to deal with it, might say, oh, well, you know, it's just kids being kids. You know, it's no big deal. But that's not it. It's kids. You're right. And there is a place where kids are just being kids, where there's wrestling and the usual tossing around and, you know, with brothers and sisters. But when it's not, when it gets beyond that is when there's an imbalance in power, when somebody is more powerful than the other, and there's humiliation and shame that's attached to it, or there could even be abuse attached to it. That's when kids are not just being kids. The child will work it out on their own. Well, yes, and it is absolutely crucial that we teach children to be autonomous, teach them to be able to resolve their own challenges. And yes, that is very true. And again, you have to look for when there's an imbalance in power, so that you can pay attention to when it's now gotten to be name calling and teasing to a degree that is damaging to the child, and really needs to be addressed. Again, with siblings, it's looking at what is going on. Generally, it's with an older child to the younger child, and really having conversations with the older child about where they're feeling not good enough, inadequate, out of control, struggling in their life, and that it is not acceptable to take it out on their sibling. Just becomes friends with them, right? The person, can you imagine telling that to those two girls? Oh, just become friends. Now, there is a point, it's a yes and again. Yes, because we realize that the bully is also hurting, that the bully needs support. A good friend of mine was a teacher, and a little boy had a big, huge fight with someone in a different class. And the teacher from the other class asked Ida Lee to come in and you know, to resolve the conflict, because she was very good at it. And so she went into the classroom and she said, you know what? You know what happened to Johnny a couple of days ago? His mom died. And that's why he's acting out at school today. And the little boy who Johnny had bullied went over to him and put his arm around him and said, "Come on, let's go play." So there can be those moments where, yes, we can see that the bully is acting out because they are hurt, angry, lonely, sad, lost. And so that can happen. So it's really having an adult there to guide that, so that the bullied child doesn't feel disregarded by saying, "Oh, just become friends," but more supported in understanding and finding a resolution. Don't rock the boat. Well, timing is everything with that. So it's not about not rocking the boat when you need to stand up for your child by going to an administrator or a teacher, and talking about it. It's finding the right time to do that so that the child feels supported and not threatened by you going to school and taking it to the next level. It's you and the child working it out together to figure out the best plan of action. So it's don't rock the boat because you don't want to look bad. Then that is not the right solution. But if having a sense of timing of when to rock the boat is what is crucial about that. With older children, you're going to look for signs of a child hoarding food, binge eating or bulimia, anorexia or bulimia. Because for an older child, it's going to be about finding some sense of control in their life. If they are feeling extremely controlled at home by parents or grandparents, or at school by teachers, or it could be a boyfriend, or it could be another more challenging situation, there could be abuse going on, you may find that the one thing that they can control is the food that goes in and out of their mouth. When I was a school-based social worker, there was a young, I guess she was about 17, 18 at that point, and she was bulimic and had been for many years. And it was because she was being sexually abused by her grandfather her entire life, because her mother didn't realize that grandpa that she used as a babysitter was actually abusing her. And so we had her tell her parents what was going on. And it can be severe enough so that the parents said to me, "You saved her life," because she was at a point where her health was definitely being challenged. So pay attention, look for these signs with your child so that you can stay in touch and be able to be there to support them. Now, the other mistake that can be made is focusing on the wrong things, which is punishment and retaliation, whether that's at home or at school, versus having a resolution and a restitution, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, as far as changing the focus from being about the bully and to instead focus on creating confident kids. Because you see, what's happened is that that what you resist persists. What you focus on grows. So doing it the way we've been doing it, 4,600 kids commit suicide each year rather than to go to school to confront the bully. And 160,000 kids a day don't go to school rather than confront the bully. And so when we focus on what we don't want, which is more bullying, and when we shift that to focusing on what we do want, which is confident kids, that's when we can turn this around. And how I figured that out is I looked at some very famous people that you know in history who are able to turn the tide of the nation, of countries, by doing that, focusing on what they wanted. And there are people like Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, all of whom focused on what they wanted. And so by doing that, about focusing on creating confident kids, is how we're going to be able to turn the tide of bullying and being able to reduce it across the country and around the world. Imagine kids going through the school halls and seeing there's nothing to fix, just more of you to discover. Nothing to fix, just more of you to discover. Because that's what I'm teaching, is about discovering their power within. And imagine that rather than anti-bullying, stop bullying, get rid of the bully signs, which in fact, when I've spoken to bullies, says it does nothing but make them want to do it more, not less. So imagine if we could focus on there's nothing to fix, just more of you to discover, and see what results we could have. Because again, it's about discovering your power within, not without. So as a parent, as a teacher, it's not about the punishment and suspensions and the police coming in and all of that, unless it's absolutely necessary. It's really about guiding our children to feel more confident and secure about who they are. You see, we can't stop the rain, can we? No matter how much we wish that it won't rain on our picnic, the rain is something that we cannot have any control over. But what we can do is we can prepare for the rain. We can prepare with our umbrella and our jackets and our boots and be ready. And that's what we can do with our children. So let's prepare our kids for the rain of words and deeds of the bully. Because you see, it's only when we believe the bully that we are hurt. And that's so important. I'm going to say it again. It's only when we believe the bully that we are hurt. And so by kids knowing how fabulous they are and that they can feel confident and secure about themselves, that's how they are going to be able to not be affected by the words and the deeds of the bully. What Mark Twain said is the two most important days in our life are the day we're born and the day that we know why. The day that we're born and the day that we know why. And what that day that we know why is about your talents, your abilities, and your gifts, which are the very essence of who you are. Remember when I talked about my writing and sitting down and writing for 12 hours and unlocking my creative potential? That's what he's talking about. Your talents, gifts, and abilities are your soul's signature. And when we squish that bright light, that soul's signature, what we can feel like inside is what I call Swiss cheese. It's when we shut down that creative expression of who we are. We feel empty inside, and it feels like we have holes in us, and we keep trying to stuff those holes from the outside in, which is what I was doing as I was chasing the shiny thing. I was trying to fill my emptiness. But when we allow and support the creative expression of our children and of who we are, that's when you can feel full and those holes can start to fill, so that you can allow yourself to have your talents, your abilities, and your gifts expressed. So one simple thing that will increase your child's ability to cope with mean kids is exactly that. Tagging kids for success, as I say. Talents, abilities, and gifts. Just want to go back for a sec to the Swiss cheese. If I can, how about that? The Swiss cheese. You know, the Swiss cheese is things like my mom throwing out my book or being not included. But it's also things like when a child says, you know, mommy, 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 look at my picture, look at my picture. And of course, we're all very busy. And mom might say, put it up in the fridge, put it up on the fridge. And as mom finishes cooking dinner and getting ready, you know, she's about to call everyone to supper, and she says, "Oh, I better take out the garbage." And there on top of the garbage is the picture squooshed in a ball on top of the garbage. The child might feel, wow, I thought I was an artist, but I guess I'm not. Might feel, I thought I was lovable, but I guess I'm not. I thought I mattered, but I guess I don't. And that's where those Swiss cheese holes get made. And when we feel that loss, and that's why it's so crucial that we fill our kids up by honoring and valuing those creative expressions of who they are. And so your talent, their talent is what they love to do, what you love to do as well. The talent is about what they love to do. So it might be that they are an artist, and you find that they're always just there drawing. They might be engaged in science, and they love to experiment, and they love to put puzzles together, and they love to do mathematics, and they love to play with things and measure and pour and do all that. And so that would be their talent of being the scientist. Or it could be that you have the athlete who is just always playing with a ball or doing something physical, and that's their athleticism being expressed. Or you have a child that loves to cook with you, and they're expressing their creative expression is through cooking. Or we have the musician who is just, you know, my child might be drumming all the time. They might have the pots and the pans and the spoons when they're little, and they may always be making noise, and that's that artist in them that wants to be expressed. And the ability is what is just God-given. It comes naturally. What enables them to do what they love to do. And that's our abilities are like the chameleon, who can sit on a green grass and turn green, and can sit on a brown rock and turn brown. I mean, he didn't go to college for that, right? But that is just an ability that the chameleon has. And for us, it's really what enables us to do what we love, which is we're creative. Children are creative. And you see the little girl there who's gotten carried away. And often children's most natural ability is going to get them in trouble. It could be like her coloring herself. It could be a child who takes things apart. And now it's all in pieces, and so they're now getting in trouble for that. But really that's them expressing that aspect of themselves. And that's when we have to pay attention to realizing when we speak to them, how we speak to them, so we don't squish them and make more Swiss cheese holes. So that creativity, it can be, you know, crayons are for paper. And you can, but talk about with that child, you might say, wow, look at how creative you are. Look at how imaginative and inventive you were. You even thought about coloring yourself before you then guide them to do what they need to do. And then say, well, markers are for paper. And it's now bath time is for children to wash the child up. But do it from a place of having acknowledged who they are before you guide them to do what's needed. So imaginative is another quality, creative, inventive. You'll see them taking things apart, putting them together, see how clever they are in what they do. And also intuitive. Intuitive is crucial for you to pay attention to with a child, where they naturally know what's right for them. You know, we really want to create kids who are autonomous, and we want them to honor and value what they feel is right for themselves, so that when they get to be older and they have to make judgments about, am I going to take drugs? Am I going to have sex? Whether I'm going to take that candy bar from the counter or not, or pay for it. We want them to be able to trust their judgment about themselves. And so you want to pay attention to, I mean, intuitive is going to be them just knowing things. So it could be at a restaurant where you say, what would you like to eat? And they say, I'd like a hamburger. And you say, no, you don't. You want chicken. Well, what that does is that lets the child know that their body doesn't know what they want. And so when we do that, we are not helping them to be able to make good judgments for themselves. They need to be able to make those kinds of decisions. You can guide them in the sense of they can wear the blue dress or the red dress today, so whichever dresses are okay with you, but then they get to pick the dress that they want to develop that intuition and that ability to trust themselves. So we all know that children are creative, inventive, imaginative, and because they get us to do stuff we don't want to do. They get the candy bar that we said we were not going to buy. They get the toy that we said we weren't going to buy. Kids are able to get us to do all sorts of things with their creative, inventive, imaginative selves, as well as to express it in other ways. So the gift, we've done the talent, we've talked about the ability, and now what is the gift? The gift that they give by expressing their talent and their ability together. So the child who is the cook, their gift is the cookie, the yummy cookie that they share, or the birthday cake they made for mom. The artist, it's going to be the drawing that's going to go up on the wall, the picture, the gift that they give is the picture that they made. The athlete, his or her ability to be able to be a great team player or to hit the winning goal, to help teammates to be able to succeed are the gifts that the athlete gives the world. And the scientist shares their experiment at the science fair. And so other people get to share in the wisdom and the knowledge that they came up with. So their gift to the world is adding knowledge and wisdom. And then the musician who plays their guitar or whatever the instrument is, their drum, their violin. Today in a class I was teaching, we were talking about talents, gifts, and abilities, and this little boy said, I have a violin, and he went and got his violin, and we all sang a Christmas song together when he played his violin. So it's really their talents, their abilities, and gifts, remember, is the very essence of who they are. It's their soul signature being expressed. And this is how they learn to value and honor each aspect of themselves so that they will not believe the bully when the bully calls them a name and tells them that they're stupid or they're a jerk or that they're not good enough and you can't be in my gang today and you can't play with me today. They can hang on to themselves because they can go, well, I guess what I'll do is I'll go over and practice my violin right now. Or let me see who else is interested in playing with me. And then the next day be able to go back. Because when the child knows who they are and are able to hang on to themselves, then what happens in most all cases, and of course there's always exceptions, is that the bully is not interested anymore. If a child is not reacting, that the bully will be less interested in picking on that particular person. So it's really helps the child to be able to, in that way, stand up for themselves by saying, you know what, I don't know what's wrong with you today, but I'm going to go play over here because I'm not interested in hearing what you're saying about name calling me. I'm going to go over here and play. So what you want to do is with their talents, abilities, and gifts is to describe their behavior using their tags. So let's say it's an idea. You want to say, you could say something like, that sounds like an interesting idea. Tell me more. So you're saying it's interesting. Let's say they've got a project that they want to share with you. You could say, wow, look at all the work you put into that project. You used your imagination. Look at how you came up with that new solution. So you're using their talents, their abilities, and gifts to describe them. Let's say they're singing. You could say, wow, listen to those notes. You've got rhythm. So now you're describing them. If you notice, each of these examples is about you describing, not saying they're good, you're not judging them, you're talking about their behavior, not who they are. Not saying, oh, that's nice. Because when we say things like, oh, that's nice, the child knows that we didn't really hear them. So if it's an assignment, it could be, I see you really put time into that, in writing that story. Tell me more about it. Now, here's what's key here. Let's say that story had a D on it. And instead of responding to the D, you can respond to the child and their expression. You could say to them just that. I see that you put your time into writing that story. Tell me more about it. And then they might share their frustration. They might be open to giving you more information about how it was hard for them to get it done. And that can help you have a better relationship with them, because when they feel that you're there to trust them, that they can trust you, then they're going to be able to share with you more, and you're going to have a greater connection with them. But if you immediately go to you're upset with their grade, really it's their responsibility. It's them. It's letting it be for them. You could say to them, you know, wow, how did you feel about what the teacher graded you? And they could say, well, you know, actually, that was probably pretty accurate because I got stuck and struggling. I couldn't figure out how to write the paper. And then you could say, well, what would you like to do now? And they say, well, you know, now I feel like maybe I could write more. And so wonderful. So go write some more. And when you're done, bring it down to me. I'd love to talk to you about it. And now you've had a connection and a communication rather than a very awkward, uncomfortable moment between the two of you, which can get into a yelling match about things. So a gift, if they've given you a gift, and you could say, I see you put your heart into my present. Look at the way in which you use your creativity and imagination with the paper and the colors you used. I like the way you brought that string and the buttons together. So you've looked at their gift to you, you've described it back to them, you've told them about how creative and imaginative they are, and they actually will feel heard, supported, nurtured in that moment. And when we do this continuously with our children, then they have a strong sense of who they are, and they can feel confident and secure, so that if they showed that gift to one of their friends at school before they brought it home to you, and the friend said, oh, look at that, Moy, that's really stupid. Why'd you put the button and the string together for your mother? She's gonna think that's really dumb. But if they've had you supporting them and encouraging them all along the way, they might be able to say something like, well, maybe your mother wouldn't like it, but I know mom's gonna love this. So I'll see you tomorrow. Rather than being devastated, rather than throwing the gift out and not you getting it at all, they would be able to hang on to themselves because they have a sense of who they are. So what you could do is you could take a piece of paper and you could write a list with your kid. You could do it together and talk about things that they love to do, and then help them to figure out the words that would go. And creative, inventive, imaginative are just like, those are just everybody, all children are that. Bright, athletic, mechanical, intuitive. And then there's more and more that I'm going to talk to you about something at the end where, you know, you could get more information from me so that you can learn how to do this with your kid. And then put this up onto the refrigerator so that you can remember to describe your kid every day before they go off to school and say, well, what creative, inventive, and imaginative thing are you going to do today? And how about when they have a math, they're not doing well in math and they have a math problem. You could say, you're a solution finder. So how are you going to help yourself to find solutions today in the math when you do your math? Because you're so creative, inventive, and imaginative. What could you do today to help yourself find solutions? And see what they come up with. But each day before they go to school, remind them of who they are. And what I say is surprise the bully, love them. because they are just a child that wants to be loved, appreciated, accepted, nurtured, cared about, just like each of us does. And by helping them to see why they're acting out, why they feel that they have to strike out at another person or a child with their frustration and their anger, can help them to become the leader that they are, so that the bully, the bullied, and the bystander can become bold, brave, and big-hearted by doing this kind of work with our children. So what you want to do is to get more cooperation from your kids and more time for yourself as you do these things. You're going to get more time for you, I promise. Is stop, look, and listen. And you want to look them in the eye when you speak to them. Now, I all know, of course, how busy we all are. And when they ask us for things, and they constantly are asking, what you need to do is when they come up and say, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, look at my picture," is if you can't look at their picture in that moment because you're in the middle of doing something, then you could say, "Honey, I would love to look at your picture, but so I can really look, I need 10 more minutes." And ask and say, "I will be with you in 10 minutes. And then be sure that you're with them in 10 minutes. And if you still can't be with them in 10 minutes, you need to go to them and say, I said 10 minutes, but I'm going to need 5 more minutes, and then I will be with you, and I want to look at your picture." If you can look at it in the moment or when the 10 minutes is up, turn and face them and look them in the eye while they talk to you, and give them that intense, focused, concentrated energy. And if you will do that consistently, you will find that they will not be pulling literally or figuratively on you. Because when they feel nurtured and really listened to and heard and supported, they will feel filled up. Those Swiss cheese holes fill up. And then they don't need to put anything else in them. But when we do it as if we're, it's like they're starving, and we give them little crumbs of us. We give them little moments. Yeah, I'll be with you in a minute. Oh, yes, honey, that's a nice picture. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Okay. And we go back to our computer. We go back to whatever we were doing, even if it's the laundry or whatever. It's really when they don't feel heard and they know that we didn't look, and that the message to them is, I don't matter, and they don't care. And that's when they come back, and then they want more, and then they want more, and then they want more. So if you will take the 2 minutes to turn and look at them and really listen, that's how you can get more time for you, and they will feel nurtured and supported. And again, listen to them, really hear what they're saying. Look for the subtle signs of bullying where they talk about having a fight at school, or they talk about their friend doesn't want to be with them anymore. And take the time to listen so that you can have answers. And again, I'm going to share something with you where you'll be able to get more and more answers, so that you can feel more confident and secure in the moment to be able to come up with solutions that can help them. Honor their thoughts and their feelings. They have a right to ask for what they want, and they also have a right to feel what they feel. And what happens is that we get triggered, and we want them to not be suffering and to not ask us for the moon when we don't feel we have the finances to give it to them. But if you can just allow them to ask and for what they want, whether it's reasonable or not, and to allow them to express the feelings that they feel, rather than trying to control them for our sake, rather than for them getting their feeling out that they need to, that's when you're going to have a more fulfilling, connected relationship with your child. There will be more cooperation at home. There will be more fun and playtime when you do that. So when a child asks for something like, I want a bicycle, and instead of saying, what do you think, money grows on trees, but instead saying, I wish that a bicycle was something that could happen right now. if you could have that bicycle right now, where would you ride it? What would you do? And let them imagine. If you use the word wish, it's a brilliant word to use. I wish we could do that right now, but right now that's not possible. Wish is a very, it's an empathetic word, and they feel that you actually heard what they needed. So even though it seems if you just stay with, they're just asking for what they want, and they don't have to get it. And allow yourself to just be okay with that, and let them feel and cry and whatever they need for as long as they need it. Then they will feel supported. And again, describe kids using their tags each day. And you will see the change that will make in how they feel about themselves, and how their homework is done and their schoolwork is done, and how their relationships improve. And so in order to support you, what I want to offer you is a way to stay connected with me, which is through Creating Confident Kids Together. It's a monthly membership. It's going to give you information available to you at hand through having a private Facebook group. And this is where you can ask questions and get support within the group. Each month, I'm going to give you 2 dynamic, videos, informational videos. Get questions, typical questions that are asked about parenting, about education, about relationships in general, about your personal development, as well as about your child's personal development, and be able to get those questions answered so that you can get ongoing support. Because I want you to be able to really be able to integrate this so you can have it. And then each month there'll be a bonus, like a live workshop with a guest expert, or me, the Create Confident Kids Q&A time with me. And of course, everything will be in the library, and you'll have access to all of the recordings. And so the Create Confident Kids Parenting Support Plan would be about having the private Facebook group, which is where you can gather, will be a place for gathering members together to discuss topics, review action plans, and ask questions and advice, to give support and to get support, to be there for each other. And I will be personally checking to be able to give you answers to questions that arise, give you action steps and guidance so that you are totally supported. And then 2 confident parenting solution videos each month. So that, and I reveal, as you can hear, different ideas, a fresh perspective, little known secrets that provide answers to those tough questions about what it takes to raise our kids in 2015. And each video is going to provide you with a real solution, something that actually works. For, all those challenges that you deal with every day, how do you get the homework done, and whose responsibility is it? And how do you get the kids in bed on time, and so that they get the sleep? And how can I get more cooperation and understanding? And siblings, oh my Lord, I'd like a little less fighting around here, right? And better communication. And to be able to have a system for conflict resolution so that it can happen quicker, so that you can have greater harmony throughout the household. And that means that you're going to have more fun together. You can have a great time, you can enjoy each other's company. It's not going to be so much about disciplining and rules and regulations, but more about fun and having joy together. And so, as I say, there'll be a bonus live training and discussion each month with experts that I'm going to bring in, guest experts, or it could be time with me to answer your questions. And it'll be around parenting, around raising confident kids. It'll be around you and your personal development, so that you can feel secure and confident, so that you can then transmit that down to your children. You'll be able to answer those difficult questions without you getting upset, and then it being all about you instead of about your child. And so that they can know, like, and trust you in a way that they've never been able to do before. So you're going to be able to give each other support and receive support. And a strong, confident parent creates a strong, confident kid. So join us and let's share your triumphs together and celebrate who you are just as you are. And so this group would be for you if you're interested in a fresh perspective on bullying and feeling empowered and confident to make a difference in a kid's life. Then this group is for you. If you want to know how to parent in a way that makes you feel good about yourself and your choices, then this would be a group for you as well. And if you're willing to step up and commit to support the growth and development of confident kids in your life, well, and really be able to help them to develop that, then this also would be a group for you. So the cool thing is that what I'm doing is I'm doing a charter membership. Woohoo! So we're going to have the Create Confident Kids Parent Support Group, and till the end of this webinar, it's going to be $9.97 per month, and it is from a month-to-month basis, and it is a very limited introductory offer because the price is usually, eventually, once there is a full launch of this program, it will go up to $29.97. But if you sign up now and you want to be a charter member, and we can get this up and running and get you the support that you need to be able to feel great about yourself and your kid having a spring in their step and coming home whistling and feeling great about themselves and the challenges that they had and they were able to solve them, then $9.95 per month is for you as a charter member. And to get all the benefits and the bonuses, the Facebook group, the private group, where only our members can be there so that we can keep the conversation, private in that way and share with each other and support each other. And of course, the videos and more. So in that charter membership is going to lock you into all the future upgrades and bonuses for your lifetime. So by joining now, before the end of the webinar, at $9.95, that's what you're going to be able to get. And your kid's going to be feeling great about themselves. So it's a private Facebook group, 2 dynamic, engaging informational videos each month, a bonus monthly live workshop where you're going to have either a guest expert about education, parenting, could even be about business. We'll see what the group would like. Could be even some tips about business or about at work or even bullies at work. And you'll have access to the library and all the recordings. And it's going to go up to $19.95 a month. But until the end of the webinar, you have an opportunity to be a charter member and have all of this for just $9.95. So I'd like to invite you to do that, to give that kind of support to yourself and to have a way for you to develop these skills and so that you can feel more at peace with who you are and your parenting, and to know that your kid is going to be able to develop autonomy so that they can know what's best for them and how to not believe the bully. So are there any questions? Okay, well, fabulous. So go now and click on the link so that you can get the charter membership at $9.95 per month, month to month. So at any time you can change your mind. And let's get started in creating confident kids and eliminating bullying together, starting with your child and moving from there and helping others to be able to do it as well. So it's been wonderful being here tonight and sharing this information with you. Please feel free to get in touch with me by going to createconfidentkids.com and to contact, and happy to talk with you. So look forward to having you a member of the, a charter member. $9.95 is just a few more seconds here. So click on that link and get it so that you can have the support that you need to be the parent that you want to be and have your kid feeling fabulous about themselves. So good night, everyone.